Cold emailers, like myself, are in a constant war against Google and Microsoft. They're battling to filter out cold emails, and we're battling to stay under the radar of those filters. And so far, we've done a pretty good job of staying under the radar. We used aged domains older than 30 days. We avoid unsubscribe links or any tracking code. We stay away from spam triggering words like guarantee or 100% free. But there's still one thing that every cold emailer I know still does that's a dead giveaway to Google and Microsoft that you are sending cold emails. In this video, I'm going to reveal to you what that is, and I'm going to present you with the solution to fix it. So what is the biggest vulnerability that we have against big ESPs like Google? And by the way, if you hear me saying ISP or ESP, that just means internet service provider or email service provider. Now, I want you to try and spot the problem. Here's the 60-second breakdown of how to set up a cold email mailbox. First, you buy a domain from a domain registrar like GoDaddy. You then add some DNS records to that domain so that you can send from Gmail. Then you add a DKIM and DMARC record for authentication. You forward that domain to your main website. Then you add that domain to your G Suite account and you set up 3 to 5 mailboxes with the same picture and the same name. You then warm the mailboxes for 2 to 4 weeks and then you start sending. Now that's a lot of steps and a lot of chances for the big ESPs to figure out that you're about to send some damn cold emails. Did you spot the vulnerability? Don't worry if you didn't. There's honestly a lot of them, and I'm going to discuss some more at the end of this video, things that I'm looking out for in the future. But for now, I want to focus on one in specific, and that is domain forwarding. Now, how obvious is it that you're about to do some cold email if you have 100 secondary domains, all redirecting to your primary domain? And even worse, what happens when one of those secondary domains get blacklisted for abuse, and that domain is forwarded to your main website? Is your main website now at risk? Absolutely. And if you think for a second that Google and Microsoft don't scan every single domain, you're just being naive. So all right, Lead Gen J, we found a vulnerability. What are we supposed to do about it? Well, have no fear. You're subscribed to Lead Gen J, so you won't make the same mistakes as everybody else. And by the way, if you do appreciate videos like this being free, hit the like button to tell me thank you. This problem has been on my radar for years, and I haven't had a good solution until now. If you remember in my 4-hour masterclass, I even talked about cloning your website for each secondary domain, and we actually did that for several months, but it was super inefficient. We tried using GoDaddy's AI-generated website feature, but that took way too long, and the websites were trash, and I really hope none of my leads ever visited them because that deal is lost instantly. But finally, one of my members in my cold email cabal shared a tool that changed my entire setup workflow forever. And by the way, my cold email cabal is just a group chat with some of the best cold emailers that I know. So what is the solution to the domain forwarding crisis? It's something called a domain masking proxy. And I promise it's much simpler than it sounds. I'm going to show you exactly how to set it up in just a few minutes. And no, this is not a sponsored video, but if you do decide to sign up for the tool, I'm going to walk you through. Use the code LGJ to save some money. The owner is now a friend. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Email Guard. So this tool does a lot of stuff. I'm not going to be walking through all the features in this video, but it is kind of my now go-to for domain deliverability monitoring and testing, including doing inbox placement tests, or doing like a real life inbox placement test, doing spam filter tests to actually test your email copy. It does a lot of stuff. But the thing that I want to focus on in this video is this one down here, domain masking proxy. And as you can tell, it's a new feature. And as you can tell, we've got a lot of domains set up with this. So what is a domain masking proxy? Well, it's a little bit complicated. It's not complicated to set up, but how it actually works is a little bit complex. What you have to know is here's all my secondary domains on the left. Here's a primary domain on the right. Now, you may also know, if you've been following me for a while, Jay, otterpublicrelations.com isn't your primary domain. otterpr.com is. You're right, but just in case Google does decide one day to penalize the primary domain that all of these are routing to, not forwarding to, but masking, then I want it to be protected. So this is now my primary domain. And this is simply a landing page. This is not my main website, but this is a real website hosted on Go High Level that we are forwarding all of our traffic to. Now, we're not forwarding them. I'm going to stop using that word. It's a bad habit because that's not what we're doing anymore. We're masking it. We're basically showing Google that this is this via this domain masking proxy. Now watch this magic. When I click otterpruniverse.com, it still says otterpruniverse.com in the domain URL, but this is masking this actual website. So as far as Google knows, there is no difference. As far as Google knows, this is the primary website and it does have content at the end of it. Believe it or not, the people you're cold emailing, they will highlight the domain that the email is being sent from, and they'll put it in their search bar to make sure that you are legit and that you are a real person. If that domain forwards, not only is it a bad thing for Google and Microsoft because they know that you're probably doing cold email, and it doesn't look great to your prospect because it's a trust thing. What happens if you send me a cold email from gotapple.com and I highlight gotapple.com and it forwards to apple.com? Chances are that person's probably not from apple.com. So it's a trust barrier too. Using the domain masking proxy, now you look like you're actually from that company. And it's going to protect your domains and your mailboxes for deliverability reasons. Now, how it works is a little bit complex. What you should know is how to set these up. Now I'm going to set one up live with you right now, and I opened up a secondary account, secondary workspace with EmailGuard, so I can show you how this works. Let's come into domain masking proxy, and I'm going to set up a new one right now. By the way, they have something similar called hosted domain redirects, but they're actually getting rid of that tab completely and replacing it all with domain masking proxies because it's safer. It's even more undetectable by Google. So let's go ahead and add a new masking proxy now. So all you have to know, what is your secondary domain, what is your primary domain, and this A record. So my primary domain is leadgenj.com. My secondary domain, we're going to set it up for leadgenschool.com, which is one of my secondary domains. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy this A record. Now all I have to do to set this up is come into my DNS records. We're going to go ahead and add an A record. That's going to be root domain. So just hit an @, you can leave it blank, give it the value, and then go ahead and hit save. Once that A record's added, you can come back and just go ahead and click Add Domain Proxy. Now these can take several minutes to propagate, meaning just a few minutes for that A record to be detectable by things like EmailGuard. So it says my domain is pointing to the correct address. I'm just going to wait a few minutes and do it again, and it will work correctly. Now here's some important things to remember about these domain masking proxies. So what is it? It essentially allows you to mask your primary domain by any secondary domain. From your perspective, from my perspective, this is essentially creating a new website without actually creating a new website, which is what we were doing before. Other important thing to know is they do use shared IP addresses. I did purchase my own IP address through EmailGuard. It's at $100 a month, and that actually protects the IP address. If it's shared and that IP address gets blacklisted, you could run into some problems, but they're going to do their best to make sure their IPs stay clean. Other important thing to note, we actually had an issue proxying otterpr.com. We decided it was best not to proxy our main website anyways, but the reason we weren't able to do that is because our main website is built on WordPress. We've got several firewalls set up. We've got several things that are preventing that domain from being proxied because it's a secure website. If you have a website that does have those security features and this is not working, do what we did here and go ahead and create a simple landing page website on Go High Level, and then you can proxy to that landing page. And here there's talking about a firewall error on their website. So again, if you have a website built on WordPress, you have firewalls, you've got security parameters, I do recommend just doing it this way. Setting this up in Go High Level, building a quick landing page, and then proxying to that as your primary domain instead. Now you're probably wondering what the actual impact of this is in real life. Now, most of this is just me preparing for the next set of attacks from Google and Microsoft, and I know they are coming. If you've been cold emailing long enough, you're looking for these vulnerabilities and you're preempting them. And a lot of times they'll start rolling these things out slowly, testing them to see, okay, if we filter this, do we mess up a lot of real business activity? That's why some people have some issues with certain words or certain setups, and other people's don't have those issues with the same setups. They usually don't roll them out all at once. So what is the real world impact of this? Have we seen a change? And the answer is yes. So we're no longer tracking open rates, as you should no longer do that either because the tracking codes mess up your deliverability, but we do track reply rates, And we do frequent email placement tests. And using this for email placement tests actually works quite well. We may actually start using this exclusively and stop using Glock Apps and Wormy.io for our placement tests, because this works really well and it's really fast. And if you do want to sign up for EmailGuard, I don't have any specific link to send you. Just go to emailguard.io and you can see their plans. Make sure to use the code LGJ. Now, I promise to share a few more vulnerabilities that I'm watching out for in this ongoing battle against the Google monster. So here's the first one. The same names across all of the mailboxes. Most people are using the same name for every single mailbox, even if they're in the same domain. And doesn't it sound suspicious if you were Google, if you saw 10 J. Feldmans in a single organization, all with the same headshot? So we're now varying the names and images for each mailbox and using original AI-generated images instead of pictures from Google, because chances are they have access to those images. Whether they're cross-referencing it with your mailbox photo, I don't know, but probably best to use AI-generated ones. That way they won't know the difference. And the second vulnerability that I'm looking out for is common naming conventions in the domains. It's become really common practice to use domains starting with things like go, my, top. So if my website is otterpr.com, I'm going to buy the domain names GoOtterPR, MyOtterPR, TopOtterPR, all the things that have OtterPR with 1 or 2 word letters in front of it. Now, how easy would it be for Google to link all of those similarly named domains and say, these guys are definitely cold emailing? Well, we're now moving away from those common naming conventions entirely. And there's about 20 more of these vulnerabilities that I could rattle off, but that's a subject better suited for my Cold Email Insiders community. That's where we deep dive into stuff like that. Now, if you're interested in having my team come in and set up your entire cold email systems, write your cold email copy, scrape your leads, and you'll get access to all of my secrets that are too sensitive for YouTube, then you should probably sign up. And because it's my birthday, or my birthday month, my birthday's on 11/11, I'm giving you 40% off for this week. The code you can use is down in the description. And if you haven't already seen my 4-hour masterclass on cold email, I promise it's better than any paid course you've taken except mine. And it's free. Just click on the thumbnail in this video, and I'll see you soon.